Taken with a Grain of Salt, a collection of short stories by Jason Salthouse. 16 hours or less. As we stepped out into the bright afternoon Montana sunlight from the dark corners of the long, tumultuous night of work, we were exhausted. Commercial construction was probably easy, I'm sure, if you were on a crew of several people. We were on a crew of 4, including the boss and his wife, so it felt like we were really a crew of 2 guys. Work started around 11 p.m. and went on till the late afternoons the next day. 3 p.m. was always a goal. Afternoon breaks from work were spent eating, sleeping, showering, resting, catching up with people back home, all under the assumption of returning to work at 11 p.m., refreshed for another 16-hour workday. Day and night running into a blur, weekends blending with weekdays, clocks only moving minutes when hours should pass. Finally, after weeks of powering through the grand finale of it all, we were done. Freedom. Time to go home. We were faced with a decision: stay and sleep a few hours in the double-bed hotel room we had been living in for the last 3 weeks, or push right through the exhaustion, pack our stuff in a frenzy, and get the hell out of there. We chose the latter. It took a couple hours and a few hundred miles for the gravity of our decision to really settle in. Tired. So tired. More tired than I had ever been, and I was barreling down the highway at a speed I'm embarrassed about. My friend and I shared the driving pretty evenly on most trips, and this time would be no different. Your turn to drive was always welcome to me. I didn't need too much rest, and it meant more coffee, more snacks, more windshield time, more volume. We had an agreement, unspoken probably, that the driver could use whatever means necessary to stay awake at the wheel as long as we didn't stop too long. Stops were short, quick, and straight to business, in and out, usually with one person taking orders and the other watching over the truck as it idled in the gas pump light. As the sun set behind us, our eyes really started to get heavy, and we needed an intermission. I had a plan. I had calculated the hours until we got home, and our ETA was about 3:30 in the morning. The 24-hour grocery store in Randomville, wherever we were, sold liquor, unlike the Bible Belt state we were headed towards. We had very strict liquor laws at the time, so I wanted to stock up for the welcome home party I was planning for everyone else. One of each is what we got, and some of them were 2. Enough so everyone had their own bottle and wouldn't stay angry. We were refreshed from our groceria excursion intermission, and we were back on the highway. Town after town, coffee after coffee, a slap in the face here, another Metallica song there, hours of silently trying to stay awake while being lullabied in the opposite direction by the rumblings of the tires on the road. Finally, we were home. I was pretty close on my guesstimate of a time frame, so it was almost 3:30 a.m. when we shut the truck off in the driveway. Quiet. Only the sound of a hot engine crackling and cooling down after a long commute. Everyone has heard that sound right before you let out a big sigh of relief to be stopped. I'm sure most everyone asleep in the house had just passed out only an hour or so ago, but that was no concern of mine. We hit the door like a couple of dusty, beaten-down outlaws like you see in the old spaghetti westerns and outlaw cowboy movies. Still wearing the clothes we had worked and lived in for the last however long it was that we were gone. I turned on lights, cranked up some music, and made the rounds, waking everyone up that wasn't already stirring around. I was told where to go a few times and had a few insults tossed my way, but everyone made their way to the table in the kitchen where I had displayed all the party favors and flavors for the adventure about to take place. Around the kitchen table is where we lived most evenings, and it was a go-to hangout spot for a lot of people during that time. We all had our names carved into it at one point in time, but that's a lifetime ago now. My friend and I parted ways in the crowd of friends, music, and partying, just as we always did, and life was good. We partied hard that morning. We went until well after the sun had come up. As the day chugged on, I stepped out onto the porch to feel the late morning sun and was slapped in the face by the hot air, so thick and suffocating, almost sticky. Forget it. Go back inside. We were home. For now.